Service is awesome, I think.
Okay, we're reading today from Matthew chapter 13. We're talking a little bit about the kingdom of heaven. Starting at verse 44 of Matthew 13. Matthew 13 verse 44 says, "Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field, the which when a man hath found he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he has, and buyeth the field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man seeking goodly pearls, who when he hath found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had, and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was cast into the sea and gathered of every kind, which when it was full, they drew to shore, and sat down and gathered the good into vessels, but cast the bad away. So shall it be at the end of the world. The angels shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire, and there shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus saith unto them, Have you understood all these things? And they said unto him, Yea, Lord. And then said he unto them, Therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old." I've never been more convinced in my life that many of the things that we have occupied our time on have been a waste of time. A waste of time. And as I read these passages, I recognize that as it talks about the kingdom of heaven, it's not something that is so blatant as everybody would like it to be. It's interesting, as he talks about it, it's like a treasure hid in the field. That when a man finds it, right? He goes and sells everything he has and buys the field. Or it's like a man who is a merchant man looking for great pearls. Who when he finds that one pearl of great price, he sells everything that he has to buy it. Or it's like that net that's cast into the sea that gathers of every kind, and then as it's drawn to shore, it's separated the good from the bad. Now as you live out your life, so often we would like it to be that multimedia presentation of the gospel, that as you walk down the street there's this noise that goes like the angelic choir going, wherever you go, you walk into the room and everybody turns and looks and says, right? And then no matter what you plan to speak, the only thing that comes out of your mouth is exactly the word that God wants to speak. And everybody throws himself on the floor before you and they go, Father, forgive me, I have sinned, I want to be born again. But we see here that the kingdom is much more like a quest. It's much more like a quest. You ever notice if you read through the Gospels about Jesus and how, yes, Jesus knew when he was going out to speak to the people, he was often going to speak to the people, that they would gather together, but it was always those on the way, those encounters he had with the individuals that were the ones that were transformed, right? It's interesting to note that most of the time when those miracles and spectacular things happened, these were not people who even came to his events. Did you ever notice that? The encounter with the centurion, remember? He comes to him and he says, My servant is sick. Master, come and heal him, right? And he says, Master, you don't even have to come. Just say the word. Because I am a man under authority, and I say to one, go, and he goes, another come, and he comes. And I know if he will just speak the word, my servant will be made whole. Right? There's no ever any story where that man ever went to one of Jesus' meetings. But there was this encounter with Jesus, those who were seeking after him, and those that he was seeking after. right? The woman with the issue of blood, right? She was seeking after him. If I can but touch the hem of his garment. Is that the way you approach your life as you walk with God? If I can but just grab hold of what it is God wants me to do. It's like that fishing expedition, right? We don't like that idea of fishing, but it is. It's a fishing thing. We're looking, when we go fishing, you know, you're not saying, I'm just going to throw in my hook and whatever I get, that's what I get. Right? Right? Out comes a sucker. Oh, we're having sucker for supper, man. That's what we're having, right? Oh, an old rubber boot. I guess we're having rubber boot for supper, right? It doesn't matter to you. But that's not how it is in the kingdom. God is looking for those who will seek after him, right? And as the followers of God, we're not going out there to try to twist people's arms and coerce people into the kingdom. We're looking for those who are seeking after truth. That's what we're looking for. We're called to go and make disciples, right? Sometimes we have this idea that I'll just preach the gospel to as many people as I can, and where the chips fall, the chips fall. And you know where the chips fall.
Yeah, scattershot.
Yeah, the chips fall that most of the people that we talk to are turned off and never want to hear anything ever again about the gospel of Jesus because we were insensitive in our way we approached them. Because we weren't led by God, we just wanted to get our brownie points checked off our list for the day. When we're called to live abundantly, that means walking with God, right? Walking with God. In that great story later on in the epistles where they're out preaching the gospel and the damsel with the spirit of divination is following and going, you know, behold these men, they come from the Most High God, right? They didn't do anything. It says, and after days went by, he turns and he says, you know what? Cast the spirit of divination out. You see, it wasn't about just trying to get something done. It was about really knowing what the will of God is. It was really thinking it through. How do I reach my neighbor? Do you ever sit down and pray? How do I reach the guy right next door to me? And as God begins to speak to you, he may speak to you. You know what? Your next door neighbor is interested in these things, or your next door neighbor has been turned off the gospel. You need to be thinking about how to impact him in a different way than you normally would. Or your next door neighbor has this hurt. See, when Jesus dealt with people, they would ask him questions, and almost never did he answer the question. But instead, he spoke to what was behind the question. Right? He spoke to the real hurt that was deep in their heart that nobody but God could know was there. Remember? The woman at the well, it was, go get your husband. And she says, but I have no husband. He says, that's right. The man you live with isn't your husband, and you've had 5 before this. Ah, you are truly a prophet of God.
Yeah.
I like this part at the end, and it says, therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. In the church today, we have this tendency to think that worshiping God is about style of music, and worshiping God is not about style of music. It's not about newness of song, it's not about type of instrument we play, whether it's a pipe organ or electric guitar. In the kingdom, it's about things of value, both new and old.